What's going on YouTube? It's Matty B. Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We're a few days late and a few dollars short on our review here from Fox Raceway, round 1 of Pro Motocross. I didn't get to watch the race live. We unfortunately had a funeral national to attend for Top Chick's grandpa, so rest in peace to a legend. But then on top of that, had some stuff to do on Sunday also, and if you guys have been following along, we have been grinding out the content, so full disclosure, I gave myself a couple days off, no choice, but we're back in it. Got a new mic, so I hope this is a little bit better for you guys. No more of the static national, but wow, round 1 of Paula. So stoked that Pro Motocross is back. It's always my favorite time of year. Got a little bit more expertise in that. You know, I've raced a lot of outdoors and no Supercross. And it was a good day of racing. Of course, we saw the return of the mutant that is JETT Lawrence. We finally have ET3 back outdoors, and he looks like he's in a good spot. Unfortunately, defending champ from last year is already out of this one. And then, of course, the 250 class. It was Deegan's world, and everybody else is just living in it. But we'll get into all that and more in this video. But before I get into it, would really appreciate it if you guys would like and subscribe. And you know I love the comments. Leave me a comment and tell me what you think. Love going back and forth with you guys. And then also my description has tons of info on some discount codes and ways you can support keeping the channel going. So I appreciate y'all very much. Even if you're not into it and you just want to watch, fine with me, just giving people the option. First off, some thoughts on the track. Yeah, it's Paula, so it kind of is what it is. You know, flat ground, no grass or anything, so it kind of looks like the desert. But I mean, for what they're given, I feel like they do a pretty good job with the track, especially for Southern California as far as it's concerned. It could have been a lot harder and more square edge. It just had curbs everywhere, but it really wasn't too bad. I was out there the Tuesday before, and it looked like they had tons of dirt that was sourced from somewhere that was not on the Paula reservation that they had put on a lot of those hills, so I think that's what made all those things so gnarly. I think a lot of the racers are probably just glad to get out of that one safe and healthy. It does get edgy and sketchier than kindergarten artwork towards the end of the day. And then real quick, before we get into the results, I just wanted to bring up how awesome was JS7 on the broadcast. It's been so great having him return to the sport after he kind of went into hiding for a little bit after his retirement that I don't know if he ever even announced, but he's back, he's in the booth, and his analysis is so awesome. I mean, this dude says stuff that makes me watch the race even closer, and I'm already paying a lot of attention. You know, talking about Tomac's rebound and talking about the strategy Jett was using to manage the race. You know, the guy's insight is just next to none. And he has all the knowledge. He's been there and he's done that. And he uses all that knowledge to go very in depth. I feel like that's partially a lot of the reason why RC gets some flack in Supercross, because he also has been there, done it, and has more than enough knowledge to do the same thing as JS7. But I've heard some things about RC not wanting to upset people and not ruffle any feathers, and JS7 doesn't seem to care. So for us fans, that's awesome. Now we'll go ahead and get into the results. Usually I start with the 250s, but we're going to switch it up. We're going to start with the 450 class this time. And with the win, 1-1, is he on the way to a 22-0? Kind of hope not. JETT Lawrence. And I don't say that as like somebody that's not a fan of Jett or anything like that. I just like seeing battles. I want to see it to where we show up every weekend and we don't know who's going to win, like we kind of did in 2023. But gosh, the dude looked good, especially coming off an injury. Healed in an insane amount of time from the ACL, and it doesn't look like it's bothering him one bit as he comes out and he just picks up right where he left off. And then real quick, to touch on JETT Lawrence putting the R in security, I can't say I blame the kid. We all know the drama that's been going down with him and his agent, or should I say former agent, Lucas Myrtle. And then there was the deal with the whole racial slur thing, and we live in a crazy world. I can pretty much guarantee you this dude's gotten tons of threats, death threats included. So if I were him, if I were high profile, and I thought there was any chance I'd be in danger and I had millions of dollars to spare, I'd probably bring some security detail too. No choice. Do I think it's a little bit overkill to have it on the gate and while he's taking pictures with little girls? Yeah, kinda, but at the end of the day, I can't hate on the security deal because people are crazy. You never know what's going to happen in this day and age. And honestly, it's kind of sad that we live in a world where this is even a conversation, but here we are. The thing that makes me most nervous about this possibly being a JETT Lawrence runaway is the fact that it just looked like he was managing the race. It looked like he had a little bit more in the tank throughout almost the entire moto, you know, just like JS7 was saying. He was kind of using those little spurts of energy and speed through a couple of his good sections, getting that gap stretched out, and then just kind of managing the rest of the track. So that really worries me. And on top of that, apparently they're not happy with the bike setup, so that should only improve as well. So all of these things are kind of bad news for everybody else, but if there's one person I would not like to lump into that discussion, that is the second place finisher, Eli Tomac, with a 4-2. And besides the last 2 rounds, last year, this guy hasn't even raced outdoors since 2022 and his championship run. So Just like Jet Lawrence, I think Eli is going to get better by the race. And I don't think Paula is a very good track for him either, where Jet, I think, is damn near undefeated at Paula. So there are a few things that could pull you in either direction of thinking, whether Jet can pull this out and go perfect, or maybe Eli has him right where he wants him, and he can take the fight to him all summer long. But that second moto was sick. I thought there was a few times where Eli was going to get him, but he just didn't quite have the line. Jet was able to use those outside slingshots after those rollers to be able to maintain the lead just barely. But awesome day for ET to end with a 4-2 to start the season. And now there are some rumors circulating that apparently Eli has signed a deal for 2026. Maybe KTM. I know there was a Ducati test ride in there. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out soon. Then in third, Hanta with a 3-4 was almost a 3-3, but he got passed by AP on the last lap of the second moto. But just like his brother Jet, a great return to racing off of the shoulder injury. And the difference between he and Jet, Jet's an alien and Hunter's human, so it makes sense that Hunter doesn't come back and smash the field like Jet did. But like I said with Jet, apparently Honda, they're not happy with the bike setup yet, which is kind of weird because they raced that bike at the end of the season last year and seemed to love it. So I think those Honda boys are only going to get better. But a great start for Hunta, and then also AP with a 5-3 for fourth. And I think AP is going to be a silent killer this outdoor season. He came in very under the radar, and I feel like a lot of people have already forgotten how good he was last year. I mean, he was right there battling with Hunter, battling with Chase until he would wear him down. And he was right in the mix for wins and podiums all summer. So I feel like he came in a little bit slept on, and he's going to be good all summer as he was with the fourth overall to start it off. Then in fifth, Justin Cooper. Honestly, this one impressed me because I didn't think Paula was a very good track for Jay Coop, and I figured he would probably struggle to start the season. But a second in the opening moto, that's awesome. That's the kind of flash that I'm sure these guys all want to see out of Jay Coop in terms of the team and sponsors and all that. Second moto wasn't great, but I mean, he can still hang his hat on that Moto 1 runner-up finish. And then in sixth, this one is an odd one for me. Jorge Prado. I didn't really know what to expect heading into this one, but I do feel like I expected a little more than we saw. We just didn't really see any flashes of brilliance, no qualifying times. No good starts, which that's probably the most worrying thing for me is where do the starts go? And I feel like I have a pretty good idea of it. Apparently Prado was not running the scoop tire, and he's coming from MXGP where all those guys run Pirelli tires, and with the scoop tire, the Pirelli is way more versatile and in my opinion a lot better than the Dunlop. It doesn't do near as much of that funny stuff on lean angle or braking or anything like that. And now that he's here in the States, the teams run Dunlop, so I'm sure that's a big change for him, a change that he probably doesn't like. And he ended up going with the standard tire, so that was not good for the starts. And then the dude just kind of rode around, 6 to 10 all day, was right by his teammate, Cooper Webb, and all those guys. And I expected a little more, but Paula is not exactly a track I would have expected him to thrive on. And I think he gets better as the season goes. I think he has good weekends and some weekends like this, but I just hope we see some flashes of brilliance out of the guy because he's a two-time world champ. And I know how good he is, and he just didn't quite show it on Saturday. But the dude probably wasn't comfortable. He's here on a 3-year deal, and he's probably playing the long game. So maybe I just need to quit being bilingual and quit rushing him. 9-5 for 7th overall for Ombre, Jason Anderson. I'm just glad the dude's alive. And he was actually digging deep late in that second moto, ended up getting a late race move done on his teammate Prado, and that's got to feel good because, Jason's not going back to Cowie next year. So I'm sure he had a little extra motivation to make that pass. A quiet 8th for Savachi. The dude, I think, broke his finger on one of the caution lights. That's off the side of the track, and I think Josh Moseman also had a similar issue with a caution light, so I don't know if those things are really close to the track or they just have magnets on them that attract Honda and Yamaha 450s or what, but a couple of light incidents, no fun. One of the most impressive guys of the day for me, 9th overall with a 6:12, RJ Hampshire, and I wouldn't have thought this guy was even going to be racing. I mean, I think he had surgery between the sight lap and the first moto of 450 Moto 1, and he still went out there, grinded out a 6th. And I've heard reports that RJ had like a bone or part of a bone taken out of his wrist or something crazy like that. So the dude's a dog. I don't know what more you can say. I can't even believe he was out there, but a 9th overall to start out the 450 career. I feel like that's solid, especially given the situation he's in. And RJ could end up being one that we look back on in a year or two and we think, why didn't he move up to the 450 class a little earlier? Because I think this bike could suit him, maybe calm him down a little bit, or maybe it doesn't. Stay tuned. We had the MXGP imports, Benoit Paturel and Valentin Guillot finished 10th and 11th overall. And pretty cool, at least for me because I'm not racing anymore, but pretty cool to see the foreign invasion that's happened, especially in the 450 class in pro motocross. Everybody and their brothers coming across the pond and trying to make it happen here. 17 of the 40 guys on the gate for the motos were foreign racers, included countries like Australia, France, Sweden, Switzerland, Estonia, Italy, Venezuela, Spain, South Africa, Denmark, and there was even a British rider that did not make the motos, so a lot of foreign talent. Love to see it. Quiet 12th for Harlan, a 13th overall for Cooper Webb, a 7th in the second moto, and I feel like it was actually a quietly very good ride from a bad start and a bad gate pick after the bike malfunction. Ended his bid at finishing the first moto, so that was a bummer, but the dude won the Supercross Championship, so I don't think he's too worried about it, but the good news is apparently the thumb has healed on its own. I guess he's not going to need surgery, so I think we can count on Cooper Webb digging deep all summer long. This guy's not interested in just going out and getting 6th, 7th, 8th place all summer. Watch out for Cooper Webb. I think he's going to get better. I believe it was a bad start and crash-induced 15th place overall for Malcolm Stewart. Shout out to the off-road ripper Mason Semmons from Australia. The dude races NGPC. I believe he's a consistent winner of the Pro 2 250 class in that series. And the dude lines it up for his first ever Pro National, puts it straight into the motos, and goes 18-18 for 17th overall. Super impressive. And I feel like these off-road guys are such unknown talent. They are such bad dudes. They never get tired. And we're going to have another one at Hangtown that I think is going to be even better than this one. Last but not least, I hate to end the 450 talk on a negative, but Chase Sexton, DNF. What an absolute disaster. And the streak continues of nobody being able to defend a championship in Supercross or Motocross in the 450 class since Eli Tomac went back-to-back in the outdoor series. But yeah, disaster is really the only word you can use to describe it. I mean, goggle issue on lap 1. Takes him off, doesn't pull in, and Paula is a risky track to ride with no goggles. I mean, there are boulders the size of, I don't even know what to say because they're so damn big, but there are huge rocks out there at Paula, and yeah, missing an eye is not exactly a good attribute for a dirt bike racer, but a lot's going on in the moment. It's hard to make good decisions, rational decisions, compared to right now where hindsight is 2020, but yeah, ended up having an untimely crash. It looked like a false neutral, a bog, something like that. The dude just got thrown forward out of nowhere, so that sucks. Right away, Chase Sexton is out of this championship, 50 points down. I mean, even if he's back for Hangtown, I think the deficit's too big, unless we just have some crazy event of turns at the front of the field. But hopefully we get him back soon, and if I had to guess, the dude is already looking towards greener pastures. No choice. Now onto the 250 class. Not much to say about the winner, really. Hayden Deegan with a 1-1, and he kind of just owns these guys outdoors. He wears them down. At the end of the moto, nobody ever seems to have anything for him, and the outdoors are kind of just his jam. And one thing that's pretty crazy that I feel like not a lot of people have ever talked about, maybe anybody, but we all know Deegan seems to be superior in the fitness department, especially outdoors. But a former teammate of his actually told me that on the road bike rides, he's actually the first guy to get dropped. Not exactly the guy that puts the most work in the gym, but still manages to make it happen on the bike. And my theory is the kid has just been on a dirt bike so much since he's been a little kid. He just has next level comfort on that thing. He can ride it as long as he wants, as hard as he wants, and everything's cool because he's just that comfortable. And even when he's sending it, I feel like that's right in the zone where he's ridden his entire life, and it doesn't seem like it's really a problem for him. I think he can do it pretty much all 11 rounds. I don't know if I'm ready to say he goes perfect. Maybe he could win 11 overalls, but 22 motos, bad starts. A lot can happen in that 250 class, so I don't know about all that, but damn, is he looking good to repeat. And then surprise of the 250 class for me, in second with a 2-2, Joe Shimoda. And I did not expect that even a little bit out of Sushi, especially after Supercross. He really had a lackluster year besides the win at A1. After he got whacked by the pit board, he just never seemed to be able to get it back going. But that was impressive. He seemed like he could pretty much match Deegan in the speed department, made all the same moves through the field that Hayden did. And I'm excited about this because if you remember in Supercross, the one person who wasn't afraid to slam Deegan multiple times was Joe Shimoda. I'm not sure if I'm ready to say that he's going to be right there in that 2 spot challenging Deegan all summer, but it's an exciting possibility, and that was an awesome start. Then in third, Tom Vial with a 4-3, kind of just did what Tom Vial does, stacking points right there in the podium mix. But really, as far as top-end speed goes, I felt like that was actually a pretty good day from Vial, especially at Paula, because I don't feel like that's a great track for him. He ends it on the box. We all love box around here. Then a 4th for Chance Hyman, a little bit underwhelming for me with the expectations that I had for him coming into the season, because a lot of people have been reporting how fast he's been going in the preseason, and he was off to a great start, fastest qualifier by a couple seconds. And when you have that much speed, I really feel like you got to seal the deal on days like that, and he was off to the races in the first moto, but an unfortunate crash kind of took the wind out of his sails. Still ended up on the box in Moto 1, but then a bad start and a ride through the pack in Moto 2, so definitely didn't win the championship at round 1, but he didn't lose it either. And then in 5th, 2 Juice Beaumer, and even though I am very much not a fan of his, he ties Joe Shimoda for my most impressive rider of the day because I didn't even expect the dude to really be in the top 10. I watched him ride at Glen Helen a couple weeks ago. Really didn't look that great. Ryder D was actually kind of handling him, but that was awesome. Good starts, showed speed, ran up front. A little bit of a fade at the end of the moto, but I don't think that's fitness related at all. You know, it was his first time running up front, so he's going a lot harder than he ever has before. And when you're at the front and not used to it, stuff kind of starts happening a little fast. You start riding tight, so I kind of think that all just comes with the territory for 2 Jews, but that was an awesome ride. Quiet 6th for Garrett Marchbanks with a 6.5, and I feel like he was definitely the hard charger of the day, making tons of passes. The dude is massive, so starts are not always in his back pocket. But he went forward all day long, and it seems like it's going to be between Garrett and Ty Masterpool for this last spot on Pro Circuit next year. And so far, between Supercross and Paula, Garrett has made a good case for it to be him that gets the spot. A solid 7th for Hammaker, going 8-7, and I think he's just going to continue to try to build into the summer. The dude's missed a lot of outdoor races, so I think he just needs to get 22 motos in and be there every weekend. And then an 8th for Michael Moseman. Very solid ride for him. I did not expect him to be the second best star rider in the results at Paula, but watch out for Michael Moseman. Hangtown is his home track, and he could unleash something special this weekend. 9th for Handbrake, Max Voland. Great ride for him and his return to outdoors. I think it's been at least a year and a half, maybe longer since he's raced one. And then a 10th for Masterpool, and aside from the first moto start and railing around the outside and jumping into those rollers, kind of an underwhelming day for him also, especially due to the fact that he missed the remainder of Supercross, so you would think he would have had a jump start on his outdoor prep. But yeah, a little bit of a lackluster day, 7th in the first moto, and then all the way back in the 15th spot in the second moto. Decent day in the 11th spot for the rookie, Drew Adams, but now I'm hearing that maybe we have a finger or a hand injury, so hopefully he's good and he can just continue to stack these races and we don't have more races missed with injury like we did in Supercross. Good to have Casey Cochran back. I feel like a 12th for him after being out all year is actually pretty solid. And then a 13th, we'll race him when it's time, Ryder D. Shout out to Parker Ross, dark horse of the day, with a 14th in the 250 class on the Bar X Yamaha team, a brand new addition to the squad for Pro Motocross. And he's another one. He goes forward the whole time. He's got 2 jobs. He doesn't get tired, and I think he's going to be in there right in that 10 to 15 range all summer, and I think he's going to be turning some heads. He's a 3-digit number. Not everybody knows who he is, but I think they're about to. And then a 15th, Mikkel Harup from Triumph, and crazy enough, 15th is the best finishing position out of the Triumph team on the day, and yeah, rough day for Harup. I kind of predicted that he'll have some races where he's comfortable and he'll run up front, but then there's going to be some days where he's kind of invisible and has days like he did at Fox Raceway. And it's nothing against Harup. AMA racing is just a lot different than MXGP, and it's a big adjustment, as I'm sure he found out on Saturday. Bummer for Levi Kitchen to break a chain and end up 16th overall. Wasn't the best day for him anyway, but definitely already in a points hole, leaving round 1. Enzo Temmerman comes home 18th. Cool to see him dip his toe in the pro ranks, and it looks like he's going to do so again at Hangtown. He said, I'm good on the amateur combine. I've already done that. Just put me in the national. And I think that is invaluable experience. I love the strategy. 2 motos in the top 20 for AEO KTM's Lux Turner. He is such a silent killer in that 250 class, right under the radar, but he battles it out with, and hell, he even beats some of the factory guys. A 2020 and a 21st place for Jeremy Martin. Not exactly the storybook beginning to the comeback that we were all hoping for, but Paula is not a J-Mart track. He knew it going in. And get this guy to Thunder Valley at the Altitude National, bring him east, and I think we'll see the real Jeremy Martin. I don't think this comeback's dead in the water by any means. A bad start to the season definitely doesn't define the rest of the season. And then last but not least, a couple more rookies. Alex Fedortsov from Club MX with a 22nd overall, and then Avery Long with a 24th. And these guys are so good. I really do feel bad for these incoming rookies, especially in the 250 class, because they're great riders. They're riding their asses off, and they're finishing in the 20s. I mean, there are even more factory riders that I haven't mentioned that are outside the top 20, and the 250 class, it's just a dog-eat-dog world. It's mental, and I'm pretty glad I'm not a part of it. But that's all I got from Fox Raceway. Let me know what you guys thought of the video, what you thought of my thoughts, if you agree, disagree, if I'm a cooked unit, if you want to hate, you know we're here for all of it. It's all in the contract, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. No choice.